Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
Hey everybody, Tony Beers here again. And in this episode of Movie Grades, I'm going to be talking about Kick-Ass 2. In Kick-Ass 2, Dave wants to be Kick-Ass again, but he wants to be better prepared this time, so he asks Hit Girl to train him. She agrees, but is soon discovered by her guardian and tells Kick-Ass that she cannot continue to train him as she is trying to learn to be a normal teenager. But more heroes inspired by Kick-Ass are emerging and asks Kick-Ass to join their team known as Justice Forever. Meanwhile, McLovin, angered by the death of his father at the hands of Kick-Ass, decides to form his own team of supervillains and take revenge on Kick-Ass. For the most part, I like this movie. So let's get what I didn't like out of the way first. Now, the biggest reason that I liked the first Kick-Ass movie is because it was really unique. It's really something that I've never seen before. And just by the fact that this movie is a sequel of that movie makes it more, makes it ununique. It makes it kind of, you know, I'm watching this and I'm kind of like, I've seen this before, you know what I'm saying? So the novelty of something new and fresh is wearing thin on me a little bit. Also, this movie seems to be focusing more on the comedy this time around. And I had an argument with somebody when the first Kick-Ass movie came out, and they said the first Kick-Ass movie was a straight-up comedy, and I really didn't see it as a comedy. You know, I saw it as an action movie with comedic moments, of course. It was funny, but I didn't see it as a straight-up comedy. Maybe a dark comedy, perhaps, but I didn't think it was even close to being just a straight-up comedy. The first Kick-Ass movie had this really strange mix of realism and absurdity. You know, it was realistic in that the dialogue was real. These characters acted real. The violence, the consequences of the violence was real. I mean, these people actually got hurt, you know. These people didn't have any superpowers or anything. But it dealt also with the absurdity of Kick-Ass conveniently running into Big Daddy and Hit Girl being such a young girl and doing these impossible stunts, even for an adult, but you get this young girl doing them. And it also had, you know, crazy things like the jetpack with the Gatling guns at the end. This movie focuses more on that absurd part of Kick-Ass and really focuses on the humor and, you know, it was funny, but the first movie didn't really focus that much on it. It had a better balance. This here it's much more heavier on the humor, and it's not terrible, but I preferred the balance of the first Kick-Ass movie. Pretty much everything else I liked about this movie. The acting in this movie is good, and I want to talk about Jim Carrey, but before I talk about him, I wanted to talk about the controversy that he stirred up, and that was that he felt that violence in movies causes violence in real life. And I have to strongly disagree with him on this. You know, just because someone sees violence in movies doesn't mean they're going to go out and start shooting people and stuff like that. You know, I've seen violence in movies, you know, my whole life, you know, and I haven't been violent to other people. I never go out and beat up people. I don't shoot people. I never shot a gun in my life. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense on his part because, you know, didn't he read the script for this movie, didn't he see the first Kick-Ass movie? I mean, what did he think he was getting into? But he says this is because of the Sandy Hook shooting, and it's like, okay, there wasn't any school shootings before Sandy Hook. I mean, there was no violence ever before Sandy Hook, you know. And having said that, he's great in this movie. He's the best actor in this movie, in my opinion. The best performance, maybe second best to maybe Chloe Moretz. I mean, they're kind of real close, but he is great in this movie. I have to give him credit for that, you know. I give credit where credit's due, and he's great. And it's too bad because his character isn't in this movie as much as I hoped he would be. I really like his character, and he's one of the more interesting characters in this movie, and he's probably my favorite of the new characters. He plays Colonel Stars and Stripes, who is this former mob enforcer, and he's now a born-again Christian, and he wants to redeem himself by taking down the mobsters that he used to work for. And I find that very interesting, and that's why he's one of my favorite characters in here. And he's, you know, since he's a born-again Christian, he's always telling everybody to watch their language. He's, you know, as they say, a zebra that changes stripes, or a leopard that changed their spots. You know how those sayings go, you know. And those characters are always interesting to me. Now, as I just said, you know, Chloe Moretz is in this movie, and she's also great. I mean, she's really something else, I'll tell you. Really, really a great actress. She really surprises me and impresses me of how good an actress she is at her very young age. And like I said, she's the second best, or maybe the best actor. I mean, it all depends. Like I said, her and Jim Carrey are kind of neck and neck as the real standout actors in this movie. McLovin and Aaron Taylor Johnson are back again. And they were both great in the first movie too, and they're back in here, and they're doing a good job too. I mean, they don't really stick out as, like I said, as Jim Carrey or Chloe Moretz, but they do a great job. And there's not really too many other actors that really stick out as being good or bad. The worst actor in here is at the very least adequate. You know, there's no really bad actors in this movie. I was really surprised to see John Leguizamo in this movie, and because I don't think I remember him in the trailers anyway, or I never heard of him being in this movie, so I was surprised when I actually saw him. And, you know, he's okay. I mean, he's serviceable, he's adequate, but, you know, he doesn't really stick out. The story is really good. Like I said before, I really like the characters that you meet along the way through the story. They're really unique characters that I really like, and they have their own interesting stories or interesting quirks about them. And for example, there's this one couple. I think they just go by the name of Tommy's mom and Tommy's dad. And I really like these characters too, because they're unique in that they're just this middle-aged couple who lost their son. I can't remember if he was abducted or lost or killed or whatever. I'm sorry that I can't remember, but their story is really touching because they go out and they're kind of fighting crime, or, you know, doing good deeds in the name of their son, which I really like that. And it's kind of funny because the wife, she has a purse, and she puts a brick in it so she can beat the bad guys with, which it's funny, but it's also kind of touching in the way that it shows you that even these, you know, this middle-aged couple can stand up to the bad guys. It shows that, you know, no matter what age group you are, or you know, how plain or normal person you are, you can still stand up to the bad guys. You don't need to be a victim, you don't need to be bullied and stuff. You can stand up for yourself, and I really like that. And on the team of the bad guys, the standout character among them for me is this woman named Mother Russia, and she's this huge giant woman. She's the powerhouse of the group. She's the one kicking all the ass and beating everybody up, and she's just a big badass and evil, man. And you know, at one point they said that she ate her cellmates. You know, she's such a big woman, she's so scary looking. She would make, you know, China from the WWE, she'd make her shaking her shorts, you know, that she's just that evil. So that was a very interesting character for me. Now, Hit Girl's story is very interesting in this movie because, like I said before, she's trying to have a normal teenage girl life in school. School is tough for anybody. For a normal person, it's tough. But you can imagine, you know, Hit Girl who just lost her father. She's got this guy that, you know, she's clearly cares for her, and she cares for him. but it's different than your own father. So she's missing her father in her life, so that's one thing, and her mother, you know. So her parents are gone, so that's bad enough, but on top of that, she's never really had a school life. You know, her as they said in the first movie, she got kind of cheated out of her childhood by her father, kind of brought her into this life of crime fighting. So she's has to deal with this, and it's a real new thing for her going to school, and it's very interesting in this movie. There's one point in the movie in which Hit Girl kind of comes to this realization that, you know, no matter where she is in school or out on the streets or anything like that, no matter where she's at, it's her kind of like destiny in life to beat up or fight, you know, in any way she can, the bad guys, you know, the bad people in life. That's kind of her destiny, like I said. That's what she's meant to do. And she realizes this in school, and that counts, you know. Even the bad guys count as mean kids in school. Mean kids in school are just, I think she even says this, is just as bad as the evil criminals out in the real world. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, criminals in the real world are nothing but bullies. You know, they're just like bullies in school. And so that's what she's on this earth to do. That's what she's destined to do, is to fight the bad guys, and that includes bullies in school. And I really like this part of her story and what she realizes, and there is a very funny scene of what she does to get back at some of these mean bullies at school, and I kind of wanted to have her as a friend when I was in school. Now, as far as the action goes, it's actually pretty good. The best action scenes are the ones involving Hit Girl, or on the bad guy's side, Mother Russia. Like I said, these are the ones that kind of stuck out. There's a scene with Hit Girl where she's fighting on top of a moving van, which was pretty cool. And there's a scene with Mother Russia where she's taking out all these cops. So those are the best action scenes in the movie. And you know, since these are the standout action characters of Hit Girl and Mother Russia, you know at the end of the movie, they're gonna have a battle at the end. And they do. And it takes place close to the end of the movie, where the heroes and the villains come face to face and have this big battle, which is pretty cool. As far as the special effects goes, the special effects are pretty good for the most part. I mean, like I mentioned before, there's a scene with Hit Girl fighting on top of a van, a moving van, and there's parts of that scene where it's obvious that there's green screen back there, so behind them, and it really sticks out, but it didn't really affect my enjoyment of that scene. Now, I would like to say that this movie is rated R, and it is rated R for a reason, for several reasons, in fact. I mean, it does get very violent, has a lot of foul language in it, and some like sex scenes and stuff. Just keep that in mind is all I'm saying. So overall, this Kick-Ass 2 is a good movie. I recommend it for the adults. But it's not as good as the first movie. It's not as good as Kick-Ass, so I'm gonna have to give it a lower grade than I did Kick-Ass, and I gave Kick-Ass an A-. So for Kick-Ass 2, my final grade is a good, solid B for Kick-Ass 2. My name is Tony Beers, and I'll see you next time.